Is there an established standard that you gauge to say, it is within a safety standard with a health system or some type of parameter for UV?
There generally 60 joules per square meter for an 8-hour exposure time. Right. Is generally the limit for safety in terms of direct exposure. That's accomplished most of the time by 0.2 microwatts per meter squared in the inhabitable zone of the room. Usually, that is accomplished by the room layout and that rule of thumb, 30 watts per 200 feet squared. Now, it should be, for safety purposes, measured after installation using a gonionometer or some other irradiation measuring device to be sure that none of the inhabitants are becoming more ill, possibly chronically ill from the UV radiation by visiting the hospital, particularly if someone is staying in the hospital room for extended periods of time.
That's in the exposure too. I was looking at from the cleansing aspect of it. Is there a guideline as to what should be used for what period of the time, and are there best practices established that you should be conforming to?
In terms of light intensity, or?
In terms of the usage of UV for both the maintaining of the cleansing of the tools as well as the rooms, are there any best practices standards that you should be?
Well, there's been significant research done on the effectiveness of UV on the microbial level. There are rate constants available that determine how quickly and how effectively the microbes are inactivated by ultraviolet light. This is based mostly on irradiance and distance from the bulb. So these factors would be taken into consideration in the design of a cabinet or in the design of an upper room.
Mm-hmm. Great.
If the initial project consider the initial maintenance with respect to microbial growth in the project?
The question, where's the question?
If the project consider the initial and maintenance of bacterial growth in this place, in this hospital?
Well, it's important to keep the initial value of bacteria low because bacterial growth is exponential, such that there is a certain doubling time that's consistent. And at one point you may detect that this surface, it's relatively harmless. It's below the value. But because it's doubling exponentially, it may rapidly become infected. For example, if you have a bacterial population in a pool, and it doubles every day in size, suppose it were to fill the room in a year, on what day will the bacterial population compose half of the pool volume? The day prior to the last day in the year. Because at that point, it's half the volume and it doubles. At the point when it's half the volume, you may say, oh, it's not really that dirty, this water. And all of a sudden, an explosion. No one knows what happened. There's a ton of bacteria in the pool. That's why this UV system, if used effectively, it will maintain bacterial volume and concentration in the room low, at a low value such that this explosion will not occur.